Well, hello class. My name is Dr. Michael Pardue. I am going to be your professor for Lead 505 Church Administration. I wanted to send you this video as we are getting started and send this as part of the welcome announcement for the week. Glad that you're taking the class. I think it's going to be a good 8 weeks. We have quite a bit planned for the class, and this class does involve quite a bit of work, but if you stay on top of it, I believe you can be successful and get things finished in a timely manner and do well. I want to as part of this video, mention a few things that have come up in previous semesters that I think will be helpful for you as you're taking this class. There are 3 things that I want to remind you of to think about as you go through each week. The first is to read directions very carefully. Because this class has a lot of work, because there are a number of assignments to turn in, it's very important that you take time to read each one of the assignments and see exactly what I'm looking for. I will do my best to never grade you on anything that is not listed in the assignments. I'll try not to count off for anything that you weren't aware of. And the best way to ensure that you get the most points on each assignment and you complete it most successfully is to take time to read the directions very carefully. I've found that this is true, especially when it comes to the number of sources or references that you have in each one of the assignments. One of the first things that I do when I'm grading is I go to the bibliography, 1, to make sure that it's there, and 2, to make sure that you have the proper number of references. And then as I read through the paper, I try to see where you have interacted with those sources as a part of your research. In a graduate level class like this one, we're not looking for opinions, but we're looking for well-founded research when it comes to the conclusions that you draw in each paper. And so if you'll take the time to ensure you have the right number of references and that you have interacted with them throughout the paper, I think you're going to do well. I don't require a certain number of footnotes in each paper, but that's going to be dictated by the amount of work that you have put in interacting with those sources. So make sure for each assignment, each week, read the directions carefully. Those directions can be found in Blackboard. I'll also post the directions in my weekly announcements so they'll be right there in front of you. The second thing is to read feedback carefully. I will give you a lot of feedback in the papers, especially the papers early on. Much of that feedback will be things that I've not counted off on, but I'm just wanting to make sure that you see some things that maybe you could do to strengthen your work. What I found previously is that many students apparently are not reading the feedback because they just continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. After the first couple of weeks, I began to count off on those to try to encourage you to write better. Our papers all follow the Turabian set. You should have a copy of the Manual for Writers, 8th edition, and I try to follow that as carefully as possible in making sure that you have the right formatting in your paper. Many students don't see the value in this, but this is a master's level program and you're doing academic writing. And so it's very important to have good content, but also good formatting. And so make sure you read the feedback carefully so that you can see areas where you can improve your writing. And then thirdly, be mindful of the deadlines that are a part of this course. We have discussion boards that are going to be due each week. Those discussion boards are due on Thursday, and then you'll have further writing that is due on Sunday. If you can get things in on time, it helps your grade for one thing. It also helps me immensely when it comes to grading. I try to sit down and grade all of your papers at one time so that I can grade them with the same frame of mind and grade them while they are very fresh. I always grade within 1 week of the due date. If you turn in your work earlier, it may take longer than a week to get it back because I do grade it within 1 week of that Sunday evening due date. When your papers are late, we count off for them at Liberty University. We count 10% off the first week, 20% the second week, and then I don't accept late work after the second week. Also, don't accept late discussion boards. And so that is very important because that is our class interaction portion of the course. If you are on an on-campus course and you missed a discussion in class, you can't make that up. And so the same is true with our discussion boards. So make sure you're very mindful of those deadlines. Some students like to turn things in 1 or 2 weeks late, and then it's another week or two before they receive feedback and the class is almost over. And it makes it very hard for them to get caught up, and it definitely makes it very hard for them to make a good grade. So be mindful of those deadlines. When you have an emergency, something serious, let me know, but let me know in advance so that I can go ahead and help you make provision to turn those things in. Please do not use excuses that last 3 and 4 and 5 weeks that really should have only lasted a couple of days. I accept serious excuses for late work, but simply having a cold or simply not feeling well is not really an excuse to be 3 or 4 weeks late with a paper. I like to work with you. I have a busy schedule myself, and I understand that. You have busy schedules, you have lives, and school is not always the most important thing, but it is something that you should put a lot of emphasis on and try to have those things in on time. I am excited about this class. I think it's going to be a good term together. I think this class is very helpful for you because it gives you the opportunity to think about the inner workings of a church. Many of you are studying to be pastors, ministers, church leaders, and this is an important class because those are issues you're going to face right off the bat. But if you're not, if you're doing this to enrich your lives, if you don't plan on being a pastor, I have no doubt that you're probably a leader in your church if you're pursuing a seminary education. These topics that we're going to discuss over the next 8 weeks are very important. They can make or break a church if they're done well, or they can break a church quickly if they're mismanaged. And so we as Christians have been entrusted with this great gift of the church. And the expectation that God has is that we would manage it well because the resources that we have are His, the personnel that we have are His, the things that we do here are for Him. And if we are going to be the church that God has called us to be, one thing we're going to have to do is administer the resources that God has given us. And so I hope as we think about those things over these next 8 weeks, that there'll be things that encourage you, things that help you on your journey. And I pray that as we finish, we will be more ready to do well for the kingdom of God in spreading His gospel and sharing the message of redemption with a world that's lost and dying. I appreciate you going on this journey with us. I'm excited about where God's leading. If you have questions, let me know. Don't get stuck. Don't wait. Let me know. Contact me, and I'll be glad to help you and just make this the best 8 weeks it can be. God bless you today, and we look forward to talking with you again soon.